Hello, I'm Steph, aka Literati Medium. And today I'm going to do my very first book haul on this channel. Now, just so you know a little bit about my book buying habits. Once I moved to South Korea, I really switched over to buying new books as e-readers. And then once I moved to my apartment, I pretty much only had space for my TBR and hobby shelf, which I'm sorry that shelf is such a mess. I will work on cleaning it up in the next few days. And because space is just a premium, I decided a while ago that I was pretty much only going to buy books that I knew I already loved and really kind of establish a book collection rather than just, I have a bunch of books that I haven't read. I still have a bunch of books I haven't read, but I'm working on it. That being said, most of the books you'll see in this haul, I actually used to have. A little bit of a sad story. When I moved to South Korea, I put my books in storage in my parents' attic, and when I came back, they had been ruined by moisture in the attic. So pretty much the TBR books were the books that surprised, I think because I had them in a bin instead of a box. If you're gonna store your books in an attic, definitely put them in something waterproof. So a lot of these are replacement buys of books that I loved, but the good news is that means I can talk about them and share them with you. I'd also like to say that I got all of these books from two different sources. The first one is from a local used bookstore by me called Pauper's Books and More. I actually took my 89-year-old grandmother there because she was really needing some books, and she buys like mass market paperbacks at like $2 a pop and buys like 20 at a time, and then she reads them for 3 months and then she needs to go back again. So I got to benefit from going with her along on this trip. And the second source was actually Pango Books. This is not sponsored by them. It's not an affiliate, none of that, but it's a great marketplace for selling used books, and you should check it out. And if you'd be interested in a bookshop tour of Pauper's Books and More, give me a like down below. So let's get started. The first two books that I got at Pauper's Books and More were The Initiate and The Master by Louise Cooper, which these are books 1 and 3 in the Time Master trilogy. The 7 gods of order rule. They are served by initiates in their northern stronghold. Terod is a formidable sorcerer among their ranks, but he is drawn to a darker power. This power could plunge the world into chaos and bring forth an adversary that could confront the gods themselves. So I first read these books in high school. I got them from the library, and I remembered loving them. And I actually got a friend of mine to love them as well. So she scoured a bunch of used bookstores until she had a set and I had a set, because they're actually kind of hard to find, as evidenced by the fact that I couldn't find the second book. Unfortunately, the set that I had that she bought me got ruined in the attic, and that actually is kind of sad because the friend who got them for me passed away about a decade ago now, so I was really happy to find these, and I'm sorry to get all emotional. So let's move on. The next book that I found at Pauper's was The Daughter of the Blood by Anne Bishop. So I actually summarized this book when I talked about the 2 other Anne Bishop books that showed up on my top 10 best rated books that I've read, according to Goodreads video, which you can check out here. I've talked about this series so much on my channel at this point that I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but I was really excited to find a trade paperback version of this because my old copies were mass market. The next few books on this list were all written by the Queen of Romance herself, Nora Roberts, and this is Three Fates, which was actually the very first Nora Roberts book I ever read. When a priceless heirloom, a silver statue of one of the Three Fates, gets stolen, the Sullivan siblings will go on a quest to find it and reunite it with its sisters. So not only was this my first Nora Roberts book, this actually was my first ever adult romance novel. My mom gave it to me because she knew I really enjoyed Greek mythology and thought that I would like the story, and also that there's kind of a treasure hunter vibe, and at the time I was thinking about being an archaeologist. So the next 2 books that I got, I only have one with me currently because the other one is currently in the mail because I got it from Pango Books after buying this one. I got Key of Light and Key of Knowledge from the Key trilogy by Nora Roberts. When art gallery manager Mallory Price gets invited to a mysterious cocktail party at Warrior's Peak, she meets Dana Steele, a librarian, and Zoe McCourt, a single mother. They form an instant bond, and the host of the party gives them an intriguing challenge. The souls of 3 demigoddesses, an artist, a bard, and a warrior, were trapped in a box that has 3 keys. It's up to these women to find the keys, and if they do, they'll receive $1 million each. So the Key trilogy was my first Nora Roberts trilogy and is still probably my favorite. While I'm only about the cover art on these editions, I love that it's a trade paperback instead of a mass market. I actually had to debate between the trade paperback and the hardcover version, and that has a whole debate for myself on being a collector, should I get paperbacks or hardcovers? Because there's a part of me that thinks that I should get hardcovers because they'll last longer. That being said, I enjoy reading trade paperbacks more, so I decided that when I could, I would get a trade paperback version, and if I need to replace it down the line, I need to replace it down the line. Right at the front of Pauper's Books and More was The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. For a summary of this, check out this video. I was so excited to find a trade paperback version of this, even though I kind of hate this insert that says a New York Times bestseller. Like, it's ugly, but oh well. But I was so excited to find the trade paperback version. I had initially read the hardcover version that I borrowed from my sister when I did my 24-hour reading vlog. It's pretty much in brand new condition, and I got it for $5. The reason I kind of like used books is because I like thinking in my head, where has this book been? Not too many places, because it's in really good condition. The next book in this haul is a book I'm pretty excited to read for my next book versus adaptation, and that is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. I won't do a summary of this because I just did it in my TBR video, but this is the book that actually prompted me to go to Pango Books. The waitlist at the library to read this book was super long for both the physical book and the ebook, and I definitely wanted to physically read it as opposed to listen to it. So I thought, oh, I'll just get the Kindle edition and it'll be fine. But the Kindle edition was like $17, and I was like, I really don't want to spend $17 on a book I don't know if I'm gonna like it. So I decided to go to Pango Books and see if anybody had it, and lo and behold, someone did, for $8. So I bought it, even though I haven't read it yet. That being said, if I do end up liking this series and wanting to keep a copy, I don't think I'll be keeping this edition. It's not a bad tie-in cover, but that's not what I want for a book collection, and that's really what I'm trying to develop. So the next 2 books that I'm going to show you are actually also books that I haven't read, and that's because the seller that was selling the Wheel of Time book had a special deal that they would give free shipping if you ordered $20. The first of these books is Winter Song by S.J. Jones. When Liesl's sister is taken by the Goblin King, she must go to the underground to save her. She's drawn to the world she finds and the king who rules it, and she must make a decision that will change her fate. So I was initially drawn to this book from the seller because I really liked the cover. White roses are one of my favorite flowers, and then when I read the back and found out that it was essentially kind of a labyrinth retelling, I couldn't say no because I grew up on the labyrinth. The other book that I got off of Pango Books is Mask of Sorrows by Lindsay Miller. Sal, a gender-fluid thief, wants to escape their life as a highway robber in order to get close to the nobles who destroyed their home. They learn of an opportunity to join the Left Hand, the Queen's personal assassins. However, the competition is a fight to the death. So I have to say, this book sounds like a gender-fluid version of The Assassin's Blade, which I know I'm in the minority of the Throne of Glass readers out there who actually really enjoyed The Assassin's Blade, and I'm really excited to read a book with a gender-fluid protagonist. Before I reveal the final book of this haul, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what was the last book you bought. And if you made it this far in the video, give me a book emoji. The final purchase in this haul was The Complete Works of Jane Austen, published by Canterbury Classics. If I summarized all of Jane Austen's books, we would be here forever, so I will spare you that. So for my collection, I initially wanted to buy a coordinating set of each of the individual books. But then I saw this edition in the bookstore and it was $25, has these gorgeous gold sprayed edges, this beautiful cover, and these decorated, I don't know what these are called. Tell me down in the comments below what these are called. But I just thought it was so pretty and I needed to have it because it was like a third of the price of the original collection I was looking at. That being said, this does kind of break my rules on the only having books that I absolutely love. And that's because I've only actually read 2 of the 6 Jane Austen books. I've read Pride and Prejudice and I've read Emma. But that being said, I've seen an adaptation for every single one of these. I love me a good Jane Austen adaptation. I'm excited for Persuasion coming, I think, this year. Maybe I'll do a book versus adaptation. If you want me to do a book versus adaptation to the new Persuasion adaptation when it comes out, give me a like. But going back to the books I only know and love, I feel like I can make an exception for some beautiful hardcover classics because certain classics I feel like everybody should have in their collection, and this bookstore had a whole bunch. I just could really only invest in one this time, and I fell in love with this lavender cover. For any of the books that I've read, I will include some affiliate links down in the description box below. So there you have it. That was my very first book haul, and I'm super excited to organize my bookshelves so I can maybe get a favorites bookshelf going. Let's see what stories tomorrow brings.